Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for a dynamic effort lower day. But a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. And today I focused on just doing a lot of speed work and my posterior chain. So why? I've come to realize I don't even need extra quad work on my main training outside of my speed squats and splash over from the speed pulls, whatever other pulls and stuff I do. I'm not overly worried about quads. I do sled drags about 6 days a week right now. I get a lot of quad pump from that. My quads are pretty jacked. I don't feel like they're limiting me in any ways. I'm not worried. And again, if you start tracking work sets, 14 sets of speed squats today, if we count those as half sets, that's about 7 work sets for my quads. I sled drag 6 days a week. If I count each of those drags as one set, see where we're going. This is like 13 work sets for quads. Easily. And that's not counting any secondary carryover from pulls, which do work the quads. So not a big deal. I need to really hammer all the muscles I need for my deadlifting and stuff, right? Which we're making a high priority. It's like, we're making upper back and everything a big priority on upper days. It's going to help with all that. So speed squats. Decided to up my volume of speed work, right? I recover from it easy. I get a lot out of it. So instead of 12 or 10, I did 14 doubles today on speed squats. I bumped the weight a hair since this is the last week of the band wave, right? 14. Was happy with the way they felt. Ready to go into my 3-week wave of chains. And I think what we're going to do, we're just going to do wide stance safety bar for my boxes for a while because I can just switch bands and chains. And I think I'm going to do all sumo deadlift for the pulls. I need the extra adductor work. Sumo carries over to my conventional extremely well. We know that. Right? I built over a 600 conventional while doing nothing but sumo work for the most part, along with, other back work. So again, it's fine. I only need my deadlifts to be in the low 600s. It's really all I need it to be. Now, if I can get it higher, that's fine. But long term, when I look at weight classes, goals, and everything, when I do step back on the platform, I don't have to have like a 700 deadlift to break national records on the deadlift, the total, things like that. It's not necessary. I'm not going to have to do that. Not saying I won't try to work towards it. But realistically speaking, regular old conventional deadlifts I've done at home would put me where I need to be in competition, like that I've previously done. But we're going to keep working on building it up. We're going to build it up. But that is going to be the name of the game. And for me, there's going to be a lot of posterior chain focus, a lot of adductor focus, because again, I'm always going to be strongest on squats when I go really wide. So if I want to bring my squats up, this is the way that I need to go. And the safety bar, again, builds everything I need. So that's what I'm going to do for a while. And I'm noticing my shoulder health just gets better and better all the time, because I'm not doing anything that puts any stress on it on my lower days by using bars like this. And now that I'm not doing any overhead stuff other than my dead hangs for my shoulder health, long-term shoulder health, now that I've cut out any sort of incline overhead pressing, chins, my shoulders are continuing to do better and better. I'm beginning to question if for longevity how much stuff we really need to do at all that's overhead. And there's a lot of good coaches out there who are like, if athletes aren't overhead athletes, do we need it? Right? And it builds it anyways, right? You build a strong closed grip bench, you have a massive overhead press. We already know this. I've watched it with plenty of my own lifters, so I'm not worried about it. So let's come back over to the lower training. Again, speed work felt good today. Even in spite of the fact that I did more total volume. And you're going to see that. I'm going to do a little bit less overall supplemental volume for the lower body, because I'm just going to hammer on ultra high quality work. I'm going to try to optimize it, and again, let the sled drags handle everything else. Right, my GPP will handle it. Now, of course, I don't like doing banded sumos, and here's why. Because I can't get as wide because of my rack. And I've had people say, well, can't you hook them up outside of the rack? I've tried, man. Stuff flies through the air. It's not worth the injury risk. There's just no way I can do heavy band tension without whatever I attach it to jerking and flying across the room. And I just don't want to risk that. It's not worth it to me. I'll just deal with a slightly narrower stance on these. is what it is. I can go wider when I go to chains on the next wave. But these felt really good. Just did 295 plus 150 pounds of band tension. Really happy with them. And I did 14 singles. I was going to do just 12, but I lost count. Oh, those will notice I have earbuds in. That came up a couple days ago, right? And people were like, well, why don't you just do that? And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? And they're like, why don't you get AirPods? I'm like, I don't know what that is. I think people forget I'm not a tech guy. I'm not a techie. So when you guys try to talk to me about certain stuff in my video editing or sound, I'm like, I've been using the same program for like 10 years. If it's not a button on my, you got to tell me what button to hit. And if you don't use the same program I do and you don't know what button to hit, then you're not going to be able to help me. Because people throw out terms that I don't know. I'm not a tech guy. I think it's pretty obvious from my video editing. I am a coach. I'm a strength guy. I'm an educator, right? I know a ton about strength training, nutrition, firearms, mechanical stuff, engines, right? I know all that stuff too. Don't ask me about gadgets. I don't know anything. I did not know what AirPods were. I had never heard of them before. I looked them up and they looked poorly rated. They looked like crap. So I found some other decent ones. They're working good. I got them charged up. I can actually listen to music on my phone, which I don't ever do. People are like, you don't use? No. I never thought about it. Since music is free on an MP3 player, I always just download and listen to an MP3 player. So I need to figure out what app I can actually use instead of just going to YouTube videos and listening to music, which is what I did today. I'm going to need to figure out what sort of app will let me have music on my phone in a playlist. That'll be my next thing. People be like, you don't know this stuff? I'm like, no, I don't. I can get your deadlift really strong, but don't ask me about tech stuff. I only recently started using apps in the last 3 years, by the way, on a phone. All right, so that being said, let's get over to this. Speed pulls felt good. Everything felt explosive. Really happy with it. And worked everything I need to work. And the other thing is like my hips are in a really good place right now. I'm noticing even all this wider work, my hips feel great. I attribute part of that to diet. And this is stuff I try to talk about, and then I get the moronic cultists who come in. You can't say that. You need to be eating saturated fat, not polyunsaturated. It's like, and then you guys cry when you get things that hurt in your body. Look at the sum total data. Like, I can't afford to be fringe. Yes, I eat a lot of polyunsaturated fats right now, and you know what? My joints and tendons are very happy about that these days. So I'm going to go with the science and the real world anecdote versus your theory. I can tell you right now, doing high polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats is a big chunk of my calorie intake. Things like my joints feel really good. They feel really good, which is kind of what the data suggested would happen. In this case, the science is matching what I expect. So I feel like I can do a lot more just wide stance stuff all the time. I'm not getting that sort of inflammation I used to get sometimes in my hip flexors. In a good place. So after all that really high volume speed work, I only did 3 exercises. We did Romanian deadlifts, and someone brought that up too last time. They're like, you're not getting enough adductor work. Like, what? You didn't see all that adductor work? What about Romanian deadlifts? RDLs hit adductors is one of the top rated exercises for adductors. So all that worked in the RDLs. Adductors will grow off RDLs alone. And I noticed the first time I did these RDLs coming back, having not done them for years, I had DOMs in my adductors the next morning. Which, again, we come back over to the research suggests that the RDL is one of the best adductor exercises. Coincidentally, I had pretty serious DOMs the first day I did them again, after having not done them in years myself. I prescribed them to clients. This is adductor work. Although I feel my adductors a bit on glute ham raises too. So what did we do today? We did RDLs, glute ham raises, reverse hypers after a lot of speed work. I also did sled drags first. So for those curious, this didn't start my day. I started my day by dragging a sled. I take about an hour before I lift. So I get food in. I usually take a quick shower because I get sweaty. Get a little bit of food in to recover, rest for an hour, and then start my workouts. So I tend to do sled drags on most of my training days too. Okay. The only thing it seems to negatively impact is stuff like the split squats, which I don't think I really need at this point. Now, glute ham raises were pretty tough after all of that. I'm only able to get 12 today on these, and I think the last set I only got like 10, right? I wasn't able to even get to 12 on the last set doing these full range of motion ones. But again, my hamstrings were lit up. If we look at what we're doing here, all that stuff worked, adductors and quads and glutes and everything, all the speed work. But we go to the supplemental work. We put a stretch position movement on the hamstring and the adductors and the low back. So we get a second hamstring exercise here that is a vastly different exercise. The glute ham raise versus a Romanian deadlifter on the almost opposite ends of the spectrum as far as how they work the hamstring. This combination is very good. And both of them are doing a pretty long range of motion. So this is a really nice combination. This alone, if I did nothing but these two movements this way for these sets every week, twice a week, without the other work, this would be probably nearly maximum hamstring development, right? I get a little adductor on this. We got a lot of adductor on the RDLs. Plus my adductors get worked on the sled drags. And they definitely get worked on all the speed work. Quads get worked on all the speed work hard. So all these muscles were in our optimal ranges for hypertrophy. Reverse hypers, we could argue, because again, the way I'm doing them now, strict, it's less hamstring, but it's a lot of glute and a lot of erector. RDLs are a fair amount of glute. But again, we come over to the erector. The erector is getting at least 6 quality work sets if we don't count these with a mild hyperextension, right? And keeping in mind, a lot of these we're doing twice a week, and this is not counting the speed work. So again, quality volume, exercises that we can recover from to maximize hypertrophy of those areas. But right now, what's my goals? Maximize erector, glute, hamstring, adductors is what I'm doing with most of my work here. And then whatever, my quads are just going to grow from the speed boxes and the sled drags. And that's fine. That's actually enough. My quads will still probably grow from all of that. They'll probably grow from all that. And I found out from someone recently that my quads actually do look smaller than they did a couple months ago. Just from the cutting, I suppose. So even those split squats didn't even really bring my quads up. But apparently my shoulders are a lot bigger. Delts, traps, all that stuff are coming up significantly. But yeah, so on the last set of these with the 270, the strict I managed to get 12 reps, which means it's time to bump the weight up a little bit. I can probably go up another 5 pounds and just slowly work these up while staying strict. But overall, very, very happy with today's workout. It wasn't super complex. Again, just 3 good supplemental movements after bumping the volume up on my speed work. Picking my speed work very carefully, and we'll continue to make progress. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.